Hi everyone and welcome to this Bowl Scotland update. I'm Darren Weir, Communications Officer. Hope you're all keeping safe and well. The last few months have been tough on us all, but things seem to be moving in the right direction now in terms of lockdown restrictions being eased. Of course, the Scottish Government announced that bowls is one of the sports allowed to return on Friday the 29th of May. So I'm delighted to welcome Bowl Scotland CEO Alan McMillan to discuss what phase one means for our clubs. Alan, how are you getting on?
I'm great, Dan. Thanks very much.
So just first of all, how happy were you when the announcement came from the Scottish Government that bowls would be one of the first sports allowed to return?
Yeah, I'm delighted. We'd worked very, very hard with government, Sport Scotland, to make sure that we put all the things in place in terms of what we're allowed to do in guidance notes, so that we were able to be announced by the First Minister last week. So, yeah, it's great. I think that lots of bowlers have been kind of hanging on for quite a while now, and while it's not bowls as we probably know it. At least the easing of restrictions has allowed people to be able to, in certain places, to be able to go out and to throw a ball up and down a green again. So that's good news.
And what's been the main patterns we've seen so far? Have a lot of clubs decided to reopen, or are some still choosing to stay closed in phase one?
Yeah, there's a number of clubs that have opened, and to be fair, that there's been a lot of work put in by a lot of volunteers and committees to be able to make that happen. The primary aim of the guidelines are to make sure that those people that are members of clubs are kept safe, and the clubs are making sure that their members are kept safe through implementing the guidelines in the proper manner. And so good to see that a number of clubs have decided to open. But in saying that, there's a number of clubs that decided not to open, and that's absolutely fine. Some clubs are waiting till phase two, maybe even phase three or phase four before they open up because of the difficulties and also maybe the constraints on their volunteer workforce. So from our perspective, whether you're open, great, and giving an opportunity, an exercise opportunity to your members, or whether you're closed and waiting till things ease up a wee bit, it makes no odds to us. We just, as long as the club are looking after themselves and looking after the members and the people in the clubs.
And obviously, bowling clubs across the country have been closed for the last 10 and 11 weeks. So, for those beginning to reopen, do you think it's a case of restarting what they've done before, or do you think this is an ideal opportunity for them to review and look at how they can improve things in the future?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I've looked long and hard at a lot of things that are coming out from business. I've also been in contact with chief execs of Australia, New Zealand, Canada, new chief exec in England, and also the secretary of the Ladies Bowling Association of Wales. We're all looking at things the same way. They're all looking at new start. And what I mean by that is that it's not necessarily doing the same things over and over again that we've done for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's looking at what we can do new. The reason I'm saying that is because this is giving everybody an opportunity, whether it's ourselves at Bowl Scotland or whether it's the volunteers and the clubs, to be able to sit down and think about the game. Usually at this time we're eyeballs out with trying to prepare for nationals or BIBC, BIWBC and a number of other things. And with clubs they'll be busy with the likes of just keeping the club going, putting on competitions and friendlies and so on. But this opportunity is about saying, where do we go in the future? Where do we go in 2021? And what I'd be encouraging all clubs to do, and even members of those clubs, is to sit down and say, what are we doing? What's making a difference? What's going to get more people coming into our club? And if we keep doing the same things, and there's many clubs that are doing very innovative things, but for a lot of clubs, if we keep doing the same things, we're not going to get different results. So we need to think about what new start means. It might mean changing competition. It might mean changing the way that you open membership up or how you engage your local community. But all I'm encouraging clubs to do at the moment is to really start to think about that. Don't just think about reopening and restarting as much as that's an important part, but actually look at new start, what's going to make the difference when we do fully open and people are looking for something to do, and bowls should be on that agenda for them.
And we've been in regular communication with Sport Scotland, Scottish Golf and Tennis Scotland over the last few weeks, as these are the other sports that have been allowed to return in Scotland. So what are the kind of similarities and differences that these sports are facing compared to bowls?
Yeah, if you look across the guidelines, there are similarities, and that was one of the things that government stressed to us before we were allowed to open last week. is that, for example, the toilets being shut in clubhouses and clubhouses closed, and that's unless you're, a sort of singular access to be able to get your equipment. And it's important to realise that this isn't, some of the things that are coming back in from our members is not about this is just happening in bowls. It actually happens across the three sports. So I think the encouraging thing is that the three sports are being in communication about how we're dealing with things, which has been really useful. And also we've been in communication with Scottish Government. And again, what the restrictions that we're finding ourselves with are similar to the restrictions that are there in tennis and golf. But it's not restrictions to stop play, it's restrictions to actually help people to protect the members of the clubs. So while sometimes it might feel that it's holding people back, it's not. It's actually trying to make sure that people feel secure and safe when they go out to bowl, play tennis or play golf.
And another important question that's been regularly asked is, what is Bowl Scotland doing to support our clubs with access to PPE and sanitising equipment?
Yeah, I mean, that's in the guidelines. It stresses about the club maybe making sure that people have access to, maybe sanitisers, to clean mats or jacks or so on. Just today, we've launched a partnership with a Glasgow company to be able to offer hand sanitizer, PPE equipment for clubs. So clubs can go onto our website or on social media and they can get contact. And also for face masks, and we've done a wee deal with this company to make sure that we can get face masks, with the Bowl Scotland logo on it, if people wish to do that. So the opportunity is there. There'll be lots of bowling clubs out there that will maybe have local contacts, and that's fantastic. But for those that are not sure where to go, then if they look on our website and they link in with the National Development Officers, they'll get the information required for the PPE equipment.
Just looking ahead slightly, what are the main changes likely to be in the guidance for clubs in phase 2 compared to phase 1?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're talking about that at the moment with district secretaries and trying to get a wee bit of feedback. And a lot of district secretaries are linking in with their clubs to find out what that could look like. It's not going to be a massive opening again, and we're going to be back on playing competitions. It's more likely to be restricted access to clubhouse for maybe toilet facilities, but under a regime that allows hygiene and sterilisation and virus control to be put in place. We're looking very carefully at what's happening in other countries to make sure to see if there's any things that we can pick up on. So competition won't be a case, won't be happening until I think phase 3 or phase 4. But what we are looking at is things like toilets, or if people are asked about spectating, is being able to sit around and spectate, and maybe an increase in the amount of people that are allowed on the green. But we're still waiting and in communication with the government to find out what that looks like so that we can make the amendments. But what we will do with our guidelines, Dan, is to make sure that we highlight where the amendments are on the guidelines so that people can clearly see that there's been an improvement from one guideline to ease it down a wee bit. So it'll make it quite clear for everybody.
Excellent. And just finally, Alan, do you have a final message to all our members and clubs across the country?
Yeah, it's as usual. It's all about keeping safe. I think that the good weather over the last couple of weeks, although it's not very good weather in the last couple of days, but the good weather's mean that people are probably itching to get out there. And I think that last Friday, golf courses and bowling clubs and tennis clubs were fairly busy, and they will be now as they open up. For us, the message from Bowl Scotland is to stay safe and to keep practicing and the guidelines and the hygiene systems that everybody's got in place. It's not about, okay, phase 1's open, so we're now open, we can get on with it. It's not. It is an easing of restrictions to allow activity in a bowling green. It's not bowls as we probably know it competitively. So keep listening out for the guidelines. Keep in touch with our website and also our social media to see things. We're updating that on a regular basis, as you know, as one of the contributors, Dan. But at the same time, we've got a national team, National Development Officers, who are working very, very hard to make sure that they answer any questions coming in from clubs and individuals. So if you've got any queries from the club's point of view, get in touch with us. But as always, stay safe. We'll get out there eventually. If we adhere to the guidelines, then we won't have a necessity to go backwards. We'll have a necessity to go forward to phase 2. So let's just, as my gran used to say, just let's cock Annie and we'll get there eventually.
Brilliant. Well, that concludes this Q&A session. So thank you everyone for watching, and of course, thank you, Alan, for your time. Hope you found it useful and informative. Alan said we'll continue to bring you regular updates on our social media and pages and our website. So just in the meantime, stay safe, and I hope you're all enjoying being back out on the green. Thank you.